If no one wants to marry you, can you be my mother? Have you ever been saved by a 7-year-old at your absolute lowest moment? Have you ever had a stranger choose you when everyone else walked away? Maya Laurent had just been abandoned at the altar in front of 200 guests. Her fiancé Jordan had stammered through an apology and disappeared through the side door. Her carefully planned wedding, 6 months of preparation, thousands of dollars, dreams of forever, dissolved in real time. The whispers started immediately. Phones came out. Someone was already texting. Maya could feel the story spreading like wildfire through social media. The stylist who got styled out of her own wedding, but none of that broke her. What broke her was the little girl who wrapped small arms around her leg and refused to let go. Let's go back to how it started, to the moment everything changed. The crystal chandelier scattered light across 200 expectant faces. Maya stood at the altar in ivory silk that had taken 3 fittings to perfect. White roses trembled in her hands, garden roses, her favorite, flown in from Portland. She wasn't nervous about marriage. She was counting Jordan's shallow breaths as he stood beside her. 1, 2, 3. His eyes darted to the exit, to his mother in the front row, to the officiant. Anywhere but Maya. Something was wrong. She'd known since this morning when he couldn't meet her eyes during breakfast, when he kept checking his phone, when his hands shook as he buttoned his shirt. But she'd told herself it was just nerves. Everyone gets nervous. Jordan took a step back from the altar. His voice cracked over the microphone, amplified for everyone to hear. I can't do this. I'm not ready. I'm sorry, Maya. I'm so sorry. The chapel went silent. 200 guests froze mid-breath. Maya's fingers tightened on the bouquet, thorns biting through satin gloves until she felt a sharp sting. But she held steady. Didn't move, didn't cry, didn't beg. What do you do when 200 people watch you shatter? When your most intimate moment becomes public spectacle? Jordan was already backing toward the side door, his mother rushing to intercept him. Guests leaned forward, phones recording, capturing every second of Maya's humiliation. Her mother sat weeping in the second row. Her bridesmaids stood frozen on the platform, not knowing whether to comfort her or pretend they didn't exist. Maya stood alone in the spotlight, every eye on her, and felt herself shrinking under the weight of their pity. Then a small hand grabbed her leg. Maya looked down. A little girl in a pale blue dress, with white ribbons wrapped both arms around her knee, and stared up with enormous dark eyes filled with fierce determination. Don't be sad. The child's voice was clear, strong. If no one wants to marry you, can you be my mother? The entire hall went silent. Even the whispers stopped. Maya's throat closed. The world narrowed to this one brave stranger, offering the only kindness in the room. She knelt without thinking, her dress pooling around her like spilled milk, until she was eye level with the girl. Ihana! A man's voice cut through the silence, low, controlled, with an edge of danger beneath. Release the bride. Maya looked up. Park Dae-hyun stood 3 feet away in a charcoal suit that probably cost more than her entire wedding budget. His expression was unreadable, neither kind nor cruel, just intensely focused. Power radiated from him like heat from summer pavement. His eyes swept the room once, a warning to everyone watching, then settled on Maya. Not with pity, with assessment, like he was cataloging everything about her in an instant. Hana didn't let go. If anything, she held tighter. Daehyun moved closer, each step deliberate and measured. His hand rested on Hana's shoulder, firm but gentle, the touch of someone who knew exactly how much pressure to apply. "Hana, we don't embrace strangers." "She's not a stranger." Hana's voice rose, defiant in a way that suggested she didn't defy her father often. "Everyone abandoned her. Someone has to stay." Maya's vision blurred. She'd held it together through Jordan's stammering, through the gasps and whispers, through her mother's horrified face in the second row, through the knowledge that this moment would define her in this city for years to come. But a 7-year-old's loyalty, fierce and pure and completely unexpected, destroyed her composure. Daehyun's gaze shifted to Maya. For a long moment, he studied her. The way she knelt in her wedding dress without regard for the expensive fabric. The way she didn't pull away from his daughter. The way her hands had stopped shaking the moment Hana touched her. Something flickered behind his eyes. Recognition, maybe, or memory of another woman who'd been kind to strangers. Hana tried to pull away from her father to hold Maya tighter. Instead of restraining her, Daehyun let his hand drop. He looked at Maya for another long beat, then nodded, just once, a gesture so small most people would have missed it. "That's fine." His voice carried across the silent chapel, and somehow it felt like permission for Maya to break. "Let her comfort you." Maya broke. Not because Jordan left her at the altar, not because 200 people witnessed her humiliation, not because her mother wept in the second row, or her father sat stone-faced beside her. She broke because a 7-year-old girl and her intimidating father had just shown her more genuine kindness than anyone else in this room, more than her bridesmaids who'd been planning what to say, more than the guests who'd been reaching for their phones, more than Jordan who'd promised forever and couldn't even manage the ceremony. Silent tears slid down her cheeks, hot against her cold skin. Hana pressed her small face against Maya's shoulder, and Maya felt the child's warmth seep through the silk. "You're really pretty," the girl whispered, her breath warm against Maya's ear. "He's stupid for leaving. My teacher says people who break promises are cowards." A surprised laugh bubbled out of Maya, watery, shocked, slightly hysterical. She glanced up at Daehyun, expecting disapproval of his daughter's bluntness. Instead, his expression had softened, just at the edges, just enough that she could see past the intimidating exterior to the father beneath. "She's not wrong," he said quietly, and there was something almost warm in his tone. Guests were standing now, gathering coats, murmuring to each other about what they'd just witnessed. Jordan was gone, probably already at the reception venue canceling everything. The photographer had stopped shooting. The string quartet had packed up their instruments. Maya's carefully planned wedding evaporated like morning fog. But Daehyun remained, solid, present, waiting. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a card, matte black with silver embossing that caught the light. "If you need anything." He placed it in Maya's palm. His fingers were warm, his grip steady. "Call anytime." Then he extended his other hand to Hana. The girl took it reluctantly, still looking back at Maya. "Can I see her again?" Hana asked her father. "Perhaps," Daehyun said, "if Miss Laurent wishes." The girl waved over her shoulder as they walked toward the exit, her small hand engulfed in her father's larger one, and Maya knelt alone in her ruined wedding dress, holding a stranger's business card and wilted roses. She looked down at the card. Park Dae-hyun, Chairman, Park Group. She didn't know what that meant yet. Didn't know about the empire he controlled from the top floor of the tallest building downtown. Didn't know about the decisions he made in rooms without windows, the power he wielded with a single phone call, the way his name made grown men nervous. Didn't know that Hana never trusted strangers, never offered her heart to anyone after her mother's death. Until that day, until she saw Maya standing alone and decided someone needed to stay. 6 weeks later, Maya walked into the Sinclair Grand Ballroom, wearing a burgundy dress borrowed from Chloe and courage she didn't entirely feel. She'd spent 42 days rebuilding, 42 days of sending out new proposals, meeting potential clients in coffee shops, pretending the wedding disaster hadn't defined her. Some days were good. Most days she woke up and had to actively choose not to hide. Today she chose to show up. "You sure about this?" Chloe had asked that morning, eyeliner poised mid-wing. "Everyone from the wedding will be there. Jordan might even show up." "I know." Maya's reflection stared back, determined but uncertain. "That's exactly why I'm going. If I don't face them now, I never will." Chloe had squeezed her shoulder. "That's my girl. Show them you're not broken." But Maya felt broken. She just refused to look it. The Fairmont Charity Gala was the biggest event in the city. 1,000 guests, $50,000 per table. Enough social currency to make or break careers. Every stylist and event planner who mattered would be there. Every client she'd ever wanted. Every person who'd witnessed her public humiliation. If she didn't show, she'd be erased. Just another cautionary tale whispered at brunches. The girl who got left at the altar and never recovered. She stepped into the ballroom. The space was magnificent. Marble floors that reflected the chandelier light, towering floral arrangements that probably cost more than her rent, and hundreds of people in evening wear who all seemed to turn at once. Conversations paused. Eyes tracked her across the floor. She lifted her chin and kept walking, heels clicking in the sudden quiet, refusing to let them see her shake. She made it halfway across the room before she heard it. The pretty lady. A small body collided with her legs with enough force to make her stumble. Maya caught herself on a nearby table. Hana. The girl wore navy velvet that brought out the darkness of her eyes, patent leather shoes that gleamed, and 2 perfect braids tied with white ribbons. She beamed up at Maya like they'd been separated for years instead of 6 weeks. "I knew you'd be here. Papa said maybe, but I knew." Maya's heart stuttered, then raced. She knelt automatically, her hands moving to straighten Hana's collar, even though it was already perfect. "Hi, sweetheart. How did you know I'd come?" "Papa sponsors this one." Hana grabbed her hand with both of hers, holding tight. "He sponsors lots of things. He said important people come. You're important, so I knew you'd be here." "Hana, come meet Papa. He'll be so happy." Before Maya could protest, the girl was pulling her through the crowd, past white-clothed tables set with gold chargers and crystal stemware, past towering centerpieces that smelled like roses and lavender, past groups of people who stopped talking to watch them pass, toward the far wall where Park Dae-hyun stood with 3 men in dark suits that screamed security detail. He turned at their approach. His eyes locked on Maya, and the air changed, thickened, charged. She froze. He looked different here, more commanding, more dangerous. The black tuxedo fit him perfectly, tailored to emphasize broad shoulders and a trim waist. His hair was styled back, revealing a face that was all sharp angles and controlled power. The men beside him stepped back instinctively when he moved forward, and Maya understood in that instant exactly who Park Dae-hyun was. Someone people feared. Miss Laurent. His voice was even, controlled, but something warm flickered beneath it. I hoped you'd attend. Papa's been watching the door, Hana announced cheerfully, swinging their joined hands. He said he wasn't, but I saw him looking. A muscle ticked in Dae-hyun's jaw. Hana. The girl grinned, completely unrepentant. Dae-hyun's gaze dropped to their clasped fingers, Maya's darker skin against Hana's lighter tone. The girl's small hands wrapped around hers like an anchor. Something warm and complicated flickered behind his controlled expression. Hana mentions you. He paused, and Maya got the sense he was choosing his words carefully. Often, daily in fact, sometimes hourly. The whole hall was watching now. Whispers spread like ripples across water. Maya could feel the weight of their attention, the speculation already forming. The abandoned bride is talking to Park Dae-hyun. The Park Dae-hyun. What does that mean? She's memorable, Maya managed, her voice steadier than she felt. That's an understatement, Dae-hyun said quietly. Hana tugged her closer, pulling her into the circle of light beneath the chandelier, right where everyone could see them together, right where the cameras would catch them. Papa, Hana's voice carried across the room, bright and clear. Can the pretty lady stay with us tonight? Please? She can sit at our table. The men behind Dae-hyun exchanged glances. One leaned in and murmured something low. Dae-hyun silenced him with a look so cold Maya felt it from 5 feet away. Then Hana turned those enormous eyes on Maya and said, clear as a bell, I want you to be my mother. Maya's breath caught. The room went completely silent. Even the string quartet seemed to pause mid-note. Dae-hyun's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes, surprise, calculation, and beneath it all, a question he hadn't asked yet but was clearly considering. He didn't stop his daughter, didn't correct her, didn't pull her away, or apologize for her inappropriate comment. Instead, he looked at Maya with those dark, patient eyes and said quietly, if Miss Laurent wishes, the choice is entirely hers. It wasn't a command. It was an invitation that felt like a test, like a door opening onto something vast and unknown, and possibly dangerous. Around them, phones appeared, cameras flashed. The woman who'd been abandoned was now standing beside the most powerful man in the city, while his daughter held her hand and called her mother. This changes everything. Again, Maya met Dae-hyun's eyes, dark, burning with something she didn't dare name, and made her decision. I'd like that very much, Hana squealed with pure joy. Dae-hyun's hand moved to the small of Maya's back, guiding her toward their table with a touch so light and possessive she felt it in her bones, in her racing pulse, in the way her breath shortened. Behind them, the whispers exploded into full conversations. And Maya realized she'd just made herself visible again. But this time, she wasn't alone. If you're invested in Maya's journey, subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. This story is just beginning, and it's about to get complicated. The gala ended near midnight. Maya stood in the marble lobby texting Chloe for a ride. Her friend was probably 3 drinks deep at a bar somewhere when small hands tugged her sleeve. Hana. hair slightly mussed now from hours of excitement, eyes drooping with exhaustion, but still fighting sleep. "Papa wants to talk to you." She took Maya's hand, her grip surprisingly strong for someone so small. "He said it's important, really important." Maya hesitated. "Hana, it's late. You should be sleeping." "Please?" Those eyes again, impossible to refuse. "Just for a minute." He said to ask nicely and not to push, "but it's really important, and I think he wants to ask you something special." Something in the girl's tone, earnest and hopeful and slightly conspiratorial, made Maya curious. "All right, just for a minute." Hana's face lit up. She pulled Maya down a side corridor, past security guards who nodded at them, through a door marked private, and into a room Maya hadn't known existed. Daehyun waited in what appeared to be a private lounge. Leather chairs that looked butter soft, a single lamp casting warm amber light, mahogany paneling that smelled like wood polish and old money. A bodyguard stood in the corner with his eyes closed, but Maya could tell he was listening to everything. He held Hana's coat and a small backpack covered in cartoon characters. Daehyun stood when Maya entered. He'd removed his jacket. His tie was loosened. He looked more human somehow, more approachable. "Thank you for staying." He gestured to the chair across from him, then moved to a side table where a tea service waited, clearly prepared in advance. "I wasn't certain you would." Hana asked nicely. Maya sat, watching him pour tea from a porcelain pot, painted with delicate blue flowers, jasmine from the scent. "I don't think anyone says no to her. Rarely." A ghost of a smile crossed his face. "She has a gift for getting what she wants." He handed Maya a cup. Their fingers brushed, and she felt that spark of awareness again. The same one from the gala, the same one from the chapel. "How have you been?" he asked. "Since the wedding." Maya wrapped her hands around the warm cup. "Surviving, rebuilding, trying not to hide. Hence tonight." She took a sip. Perfect temperature, perfect strength. "And you? How has Hana been?" "Talking about you incessantly." He set down his cup, and his expression grew serious. "Maya, Miss Laurent." "Maya is fine." "Maya." He said her name like he was testing how it felt. "I need to be honest with you. Tonight wasn't entirely coincidence." Her pulse quickened. "What do you mean?" "Hana insisted we attend because she knew you'd likely be here. She's been asking to see you since the wedding." He leaned forward, elbows on his knees, hands clasped. "I could have called. I had your number from the wedding coordinator. But I wanted to see if you'd come tonight, if you were ready to be visible again." "Why does that matter to you?" "Because it tells me something about your character." His eyes held hers. "You could have hidden. Many would have. Instead, you showed up knowing everyone would stare." "I didn't have much choice." "There's always a choice." He stood, moved to a briefcase she hadn't noticed, and pulled out a folder. "Which brings me to why I asked Hana to bring you here." He placed the folder on the low table between them. Maya opened it, and her breath caught. Contracts, salary figures that made her heart race, benefit packages that included health insurance, retirement matching, company car, housing stipend. A title embossed on official letterhead: Event Design Director, Park Group. "Full-time position," Daehyun said, watching her reaction carefully. "Private office on the 42nd floor. You'd coordinate all company events, galas, press conferences, board dinners, product launches. We host approximately 40 major events per year. plus smaller gatherings. You'd have a team of 3 assistants and complete creative control. Maya stared at the numbers. The salary alone was triple what she'd made freelancing in her best year. "Mr. Park, I don't understand why." "Because Hana trusts you." He said it simply, like it explained everything. She hasn't trusted anyone new since her mother died. No nannies, no teachers, no strangers. But she trusted you immediately. Their eyes met. "And I trust her instincts more than most boardrooms full of analysts," he continued quietly. "She sees people clearly, without agenda, without prejudice. That's a lot of responsibility to put on a child's intuition." "Perhaps," he sat back. "But I've learned to listen when Hana speaks. She's rarely wrong about people." The air shifted, thickened with unspoken questions. "Also," Daehyun added, his voice dropping lower, "I want to understand what she sees in you. What made her run to you at the altar? What made her remember you for 6 weeks? What made her light up tonight when she saw you?" There was something else in his eyes now, more than curiosity, deeper than professional interest. Something that made Maya's skin warm and her pulse kick. "I'm not sure I'm qualified." "You coordinated a 200-person wedding in 6 months. Your portfolio shows events for clients 3 times that size. Your references are impeccable." He paused. "You're more than qualified. The question is whether you're interested." Maya looked at the contract, at the sleeping child in the corner, thumb tucked against her cheek, at this man who'd just offered her not pity, but opportunity, not charity, but a job that would make her one of the most successful event planners in the city. "Can I think about it?" "Of course." Daehyun stood, offering his hand to help her up. "But fair warning, Hana will ask tomorrow, and she's remarkably persistent when she wants something." Maya took his hand. His grip was warm, steady, and lingered just a moment longer than necessary. "I'll give you my answer by Monday." "That's all I ask." But when he looked at her, really looked at her, with heat and curiosity and something almost like longing, Maya understood this was about more than a job. This was about whatever this connection was between his daughter and her. And maybe, possibly, about the connection growing between them. Maya called Monday morning and accepted. 2 weeks later, she had an office on the 42nd floor that felt like a dream. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. She could see the river from here, the bridge, the park where she used to jog on weekends. A desk made of polished mahogany that still smelled like new leather and furniture polish. A calendar that filled up within days with events that would have made her former self weep with joy. But the real surprise came at 3:30 every afternoon. The elevator chimed. Maya would look up from her laptop to see Hana bursting through the reception area, backpack bouncing against her small back, shouting Maya's name like they'd been apart for years instead of hours. Her tutor, a patient woman named Mrs. Chen, would follow, always apologetic. She insisted on visiting. Maya just laughed and pulled out the art supplies she'd started keeping in her bottom drawer. Crayons, markers, construction paper, glitter that got everywhere but made Hana's eyes light up. They'd color, talk about Hana's day at school, do homework. Maya was surprisingly good at 2nd grade math. Hana would curl up on the window seat and sketch families, always 3 figures, always holding hands, always labeled with their names in careful crayon letters. And Daehyun would appear, never announced, just suddenly there in the doorway, tie loosened, sleeves rolled to his elbows. Watching them with an expression Maya couldn't read but felt like warmth. The first few times she'd startled, wondered how long he'd been standing there, worried she was keeping Hana too long or distracting her from more important things. But Daehyun never interrupted. He'd just lean against the doorframe and watch his daughter laugh. Watch Maya help her sound out words for her reading homework. Watch them together like he was memorizing something precious. One evening, Maya looked up to find him there again. "How long have you been standing there?" "Not long." He stepped inside. The door clicked shut behind him, and Maya's awareness of him sharpened instantly. The way he moved, the way he filled the space, the way her office suddenly felt smaller. She's never this peaceful. She has amazing imagination. Maya held up Hana's latest drawing, a garden with 3 people and a dog that looked more like a horse. Natural creativity. Daehyun took it carefully, like it was made of glass instead of construction paper and crayon. His thumb traced the letters of his name, Papa written in purple with a heart dotted above the second A. Her mother used to draw. His voice dropped, went somewhere distant. Before everything changed, before the accident. Before. Maya knew better than to ask. She'd learned in her weeks here that Daehyun's past was marked by befores and afters. Before his wife, after her death, before he learned to be both father and mother. After he stopped trusting anyone outside his immediate circle. "Hana's fortunate to have you," she said softly. "No." Daehyun set the drawing down on her desk, but didn't step back. Instead, he moved closer. "I'm fortunate she has you now." The space between them shrank with each step. Maya's back hit the window, cool glass against her shoulder blades. She could smell him now. Cedar and smoke and something darker, richer. Could see the faint scar above his left eyebrow that she'd noticed before but never asked about. Could feel the heat radiating from him like a force field. "Mr. Park." "Daehyun." His gaze held hers, intense and unwavering. "When we're alone, it's Daehyun." Her breath stuttered. "This isn't appropriate. We work together. I shouldn't." "You're remarkable with Hana." He was close enough now that if she took a deep breath, they'd touch. Patient, kind, you let her be herself. "She makes it easy," Maya whispered. "No." His hand lifted, almost touched her face, then dropped back to his side like he'd caught himself. "It's you. She trusts you completely. Do you know how rare that is? How special?" The distance between them was nothing now, just breath and heat, and the weight of something neither had named but both felt building. The atmosphere changed, from professional warmth to something electric, charged, dangerous. "Tell me to leave," Daehyun said quietly, his voice rough, "and I will. Tell me this is inappropriate, and I'll maintain professional distance. But if you don't tell me to leave, Maya, I need you to know that I'm fighting very hard not to cross a line I shouldn't cross." Maya's heart hammered against her ribs. She could feel it, the pull between them, the wanting, the way her body leaned toward him even as her mind screamed warnings. "This is dangerous. This is reckless. He's your boss. He's powerful. He's—" The door burst open. Hana stumbled in, rubbing her eyes with small fists, bottom lip trembling. "Papa, I had a bad dream about the dark place again." Daehyun stepped back instantly, composed, professional. But his hands shook as he lifted his daughter, and Maya saw the way his jaw clenched with restraint. You're safe, little one. He kissed her forehead twice, then her cheek. Papa's here, always. Nothing can hurt you. Over Hana's shoulder, his eyes found Maya's, dark, burning, full of unfinished business, and she knew whatever this was between them, they'd already crossed a line. There was no going back. The only question was how far forward they'd go. The conference room was cold, despite the afternoon sun, streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows. Maya sat beside Daehyun at the long mahogany table, presenting floral arrangements for the annual shareholders' gala. The biggest event of the year, 3,000 guests, coverage in every major publication. 8 executives watched with expressions ranging from bored to skeptical. They'd made it clear in the first 5 minutes that they didn't think a stylist, regardless of her title, should be presenting to the board. But Daehyun had insisted. She's the director, she presents. Maya was mid-sentence about color palettes and cultural symbolism, explaining why the white and gold theme honored both modern elegance and traditional Korean aesthetics. When the door swung open, a man in an expensive gray suit strode in without knocking. Silver hair slicked back, cold smile, the kind of face that had witnessed violence and enjoyed it. 2 bodyguards flanked him, bigger than Daehyun's security, more obvious, meant to intimidate. The entire room went rigid. Executives sat back in their chairs. 2 reached for their phones. 1 stood and edged toward the door. Daehyun's pen stopped mid-signature. His whole body went still in a way that was somehow more terrifying than movement. Mr. Kang, his voice was blade-sharp, wrapped in silk. This is a private meeting. Is it? Kang's eyes slid to Maya like a predator spotting wounded prey. He moved closer, each step deliberate. I came to meet the woman you're parading around, the pretty stylist who thinks she can walk into our world and play pretend. Maya's blood turned to ice. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Choose your next words carefully. Daehyun stood slowly, and Maya saw it, the transformation from businessman to something far more dangerous, his mafia instincts surfacing like a shark beneath calm water. Kang laughed, sharp, cruel, a sound with edges. He leaned forward, hands flat on the table, staring directly at Maya. She is your weakness, just like your wife before her. The words detonated in the silence. Maya froze. Every executive looked away. At their laptops, at their hands, anywhere but at her. She felt exposed, vulnerable, like Kang had just stripped away whatever protection being in this room had offered. Daehyun's face changed. The professional mask cracked completely. His eyes became something else entirely, cold, lethal, the man who built an empire and destroyed anyone who threatened what he loved. Your wife died in that attack 7 years ago. Kang's voice was a hiss now, each word a knife. Everyone knew her face. Everyone knew she mattered to you. Everyone knew exactly where to strike to make you bleed. Will you make the same mistake twice, Chairman Park? Maya's chair scraped back with a sound like a scream. She stood without thinking, hands shaking, breath coming fast. Daehyun turned to her, and she saw the real pain in his eyes, raw, haunted, terrified, in a way she'd never seen him before. He didn't deny Kang's words, didn't dismiss them, didn't tell her it was a lie meant to manipulate, because it wasn't a lie. Don't listen to him. His voice was hoarse, breaking around the edges. Maya, I never wanted you involved in this darkness. I never wanted you to know. But it was too late. The truth was out. His wife died because she loved him, because people knew her face, because enemies used her to hurt him, and he couldn't stop them. Maya stepped back, heart pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. It seems I need some time. Maya. Daehyun moved toward her, reaching out. She looked at him one more time. This man who'd given her hope when she had none, who'd brought her into his daughter's life, who'd made her feel chosen, valued, seen, and saw him looking at her like he was about to lose everything. Again. "I'm sorry," she whispered. Then she left, walked out of the conference room, past security, past reception, into the elevator, pressed the button for the ground floor, and leaned against the wall as it descended. Her phone buzzed. Daehyun calling. She ignored it. It buzzed again. A text. "Please, let me explain." She turned off her phone. Behind the building, rain hammered the pavement in sheets. Maya leaned against cold brick, gasping for air, her mind racing. His wife died because of him, because she was visible, because she was loved. They'll kill anyone close to him, anyone who matters. Footsteps splashed through puddles. She didn't need to look up to know who it was. "Maya, please listen." "You should have told me." Her voice cracked, raw with betrayal. "You should have told me what being near you means, what happened to your wife, what could happen to I know." His composure shattered completely. He stood in the rain without an umbrella, suit soaked through, hair plastered to his forehead. "I know, and I should have been honest from the start. I should have told you before I offered you the job. Before I let you get close to Hana. Before I—" He stopped himself. "Before you what?" Maya forced herself to meet his eyes. "Before I fell in love with you." The words hung between them, like a confession, like a plea, like an apology for something that hadn't happened yet but might. Maya's tears mixed with rain on her face. Was it true? What Kang said? Your wife. Did people target her because of you? Daehyun's face twisted with anguish. For the first time since she'd met him, the armor fell away completely. He looked broken, human, terrified. "Yes," barely audible. "They used her to hurt me, to send a message, and I refuse to let it happen again. Not to you, not to anyone." Maya stepped back. Rain soaked through her blazer, chilled her skin. "Then this has to end. Whatever this is between us, it has to end before it really starts. Maya, please. I can't be someone else's target." Her voice broke completely. "I can't be the way they hurt you. I can't be collateral damage in whatever war you're fighting." She turned, started walking toward the street. "Maya, please don't go." She kept walking, didn't look back, even when she heard him say her name one more time. Desperate, destroyed, full of everything he couldn't say, she didn't stop. Because staying meant risking everything, her safety, her life, her future. And she'd already been shattered once this year. She couldn't survive being broken again. Chloe's apartment smelled like lavender candles and cheap wine from the corner store. Maya spent 5 days there, 5 days of wearing borrowed clothes because she couldn't go back to her apartment, too close to Park Group headquarters, too visible. 5 days of ignoring calls, ignoring emails, ignoring the Park Group ID badge on the coffee table that felt like an accusation. She didn't go to work, didn't answer her phone, even when it rang 47 times in one day. Her voicemail filled up. She couldn't bring herself to delete the messages, but she couldn't listen to all of them either. Message 1. Miss Maya, are you sick? Papa says you're resting, but I miss you. Please call me back. when you feel better. Message 3. Did I do something wrong? I showed Papa my new drawing and he looked so sad. Maya, please tell me what I did wrong so I can fix it. Message 5. Papa won't tell me anything. He keeps going into his office and closing the door. Mrs. Chen says you're taking a break, but I don't understand why you'd take a break from us. Did we make you mad? Message 7. I miss you so much. I drew you a picture of us at the park with the ducks, but you're not here to see it. Can you please come back? I promise I'll be good. Maya deleted them, then played them again, cried into Chloe's couch pillows until her eyes were swollen and her head pounded. You have to decide, Chloe said on day 4, sitting beside her with a mug of chamomile tea. Stay away and be safe, or go back and be brave. But you can't live in this in-between. What if brave gets me killed? What if safe means you lose the best thing that ever happened to you? Maya didn't answer, didn't know how to answer. On the 5th night, someone knocked. It was late, nearly midnight. Chloe went to the door, looked through the peephole, and went completely pale. Maya, you need to see this. I don't want to see anyone. Trust me, you need to see this. Chloe opened the door, stepped back slowly, eyes wide. Maya looked up from the couch, and her heart stopped. Park Dae-hyun stood in the doorway, but not the Dae-hyun she knew, not the controlled chairman, not the intimidating boss, not the careful father. This Dae-hyun was wrecked. No tie, no jacket, shirt wrinkled and half unbuttoned, like he'd been pulling at it for days. Eyes bloodshot and shadowed with exhaustion so deep it had carved lines into his face. His usually perfect hair was a mess, finger-combed and wild. He had stubble on his jaw. His hands were shaking. He looked like he hadn't slept in days, like he'd barely eaten, like he was holding himself together through sheer willpower. I'll just be at the bodega, Chloe said quietly. For a while, a long while. She grabbed her purse and fled, closing the door behind her. Maya sat up slowly. You look awful. I haven't slept in 5 days. His voice was hoarse, raw, like he'd been shouting or crying or both. Every time I close my eyes, I see you walking away in the rain. I see you leaving. I see you deciding I'm not worth the risk. She stood, wrapped her arms around herself like armor. Dae-hyun, let me finish, please. He stepped inside, and she saw how much the movement cost him, how exhausted he was, how broken. If you're going to walk away forever, I need you to know everything first. I need you to make that choice with all the information. Maya waited. Kang was right. The words came out rough, painful. I put my wife in danger. Her name was Mina. We married young, too young probably. I was building the company, making enemies, playing games I didn't fully understand yet. I thought power alone could protect her. I thought wealth meant safety. His voice cracked. I was wrong. She went to a charity event, one I should have attended but didn't because of a business meeting. A rival family sent a message by having her car run off the road. She died instantly. Hana was 6 months old. Maya's hand flew to her mouth. I've spent 7 years making sure Hana never pays for my mistakes. 7 years being so careful about who gets close to her, who knows her face, who knows she matters to me. He took a shaking breath. And then you appeared, and Hana chose you before I could stop her, before I could protect her from the possibility of losing someone again. Then you understand. Maya's voice trembled. Why I left, why I can't. I do. He crossed the room, and she saw tears in his eyes now. Actual tears. But I'm asking you to come back anyway. I'm asking you to be brave with me, to let me try again, the right way this time. Their eyes met. I've restructured everything. The words tumbled out fast, desperate. Private security detail assigned to you 24/7. They'll be invisible, but always there. Safe houses in 3 countries, New York, London, Tokyo, all under aliases. Hana's school has enhanced perimeter protection, new guards, new protocols. I've met with every rival family, every dangerous connection, every person who might ever think of using someone I love against me. He cupped her face with trembling hands. They understand now, crystal clear. Touch you, and I don't just destroy them. I destroy their families, their businesses, their legacy, everything they've ever built. I will salt the earth where they stood. That's not protection, Maya whispered. That's war. That's love. His forehead touched hers. That's what happens when someone threatens what's mine. And you're mine, Maya. Whether you stay or go, whether you choose me or not, you're already mine. And I protect what's mine. I'm terrified, she admitted. So am I. His voice broke completely. I'm terrified every day that something will happen to Hana. I've been terrified for 7 years. But I'm more terrified of living without you, of Hana losing you, of never knowing what we could have been. He pulled back just enough to look in her eyes. Your world is too dark, Maya said. Then stay by my side, I'll be your light. The words echoed what he'd said before, but this time they felt like a vow, like a promise sealed in blood and fear and desperate hope. Maya saw it then. Not the chairman, not the powerful boss, not even the careful father, just a man who'd lost everything once and refused to lose again, who loved his daughter enough to show complete vulnerability, who'd come here wrecked and desperate and stripped bare of every defense. That moment, she stopped running. If I come back, she whispered, everything changes. Everything already changed. His thumb brushed her cheek. The moment Hana grabbed your leg at that altar, the moment you knelt down and let a stranger comfort you, the moment you walked into my office and made my daughter laugh. He kissed her then, soft, careful, like she was something precious he'd almost lost forever. And Maya kissed him back, tasting salt and rain and fear and hope and everything they were both too afraid to say out loud. When they pulled apart, she rested her forehead against his chest, felt his heart hammering beneath her palm. I'm still scared. So am I. His arms came around her, solid and sure and shaking with relief. But we'll be scared together, and I swear to you, Maya, I will keep you safe. Whatever it costs, whatever I have to do, you will be safe. She believed him. Maybe that was foolish. Maybe that was naive. But she believed him anyway. They drove back to the park estate in silence, hands clasped so tight, Maya's fingers went numb. Twilight softened the gardens. Lanterns glowed along the stone walkway like tiny moons guiding them home. The house rose before them, warm lights in every window, a home waiting, not a fortress, not a showpiece, a home. Daehyun parked in the circular drive, looked at her. Ready? Maya squeezed his hand. Yes. They walked to the door together. Before Daehyun could use his key, it swung open. Hana stood there in unicorn pajamas, eyes red and swollen from days of crying. Her hair was messy. She'd been clutching her favorite stuffed rabbit so hard one ear was bent. She stared at Maya for one frozen heartbeat, like she didn't trust what she was seeing. Then she ran. Maya. She crashed into Maya's legs with enough force to make them both stumble. Maya dropped to her knees instinctively, and Hana threw her arms around her neck, sobbing so hard her whole small body shook. "You came back. Papa said you would, but I didn't believe him, and I thought you left forever like Mama did. And I was so scared, and I thought I did something wrong, and—" "Shh, shh, sweetheart." Maya pulled the girl close, one hand cradling her head, the other rubbing circles on her back. "I'm here. I'm so sorry I worried you. I'm so, so sorry. Promise you won't leave again." Hana's face pressed into her shoulder, voice muffled and desperate and breaking. "Promise. You have to promise." "Never." Maya looked up at Daehyun, saw him watching them with naked emotion, with tears tracking down his face. "I promise. I'm not going anywhere. Not ever." Hana pulled back just enough to study her face with those two knowing eyes that saw everything. Then she looked at her father. "Does this mean—" Her voice got small, hopeful, afraid to hope too much. "Miss Maya, can you really be my mother? For real? Forever?" Maya's throat closed completely. She looked at this 7-year-old girl who'd chosen her at an altar, who'd trusted her when trust was the hardest thing, who'd loved her without condition or hesitation. Daehyun crouched beside them. His hand found Maya's back, warm and grounding and sure. "Her question," he said quietly, his voice thick with emotion, "is what I wanted to ask too." The world narrowed to this moment, this decision, these two people who'd found her at her lowest and lifted her up, who'd shown her what family could be when it was chosen instead of given. Maya looked at Hana, brave and vulnerable, and so full of hope it hurt. At Daehyun, powerful and afraid, and completely, utterly in love. At the life she could have if she was brave enough to claim it. If she was strong enough to choose love over fear. Yes, the word came easy now, certain, like something that had always been true, just waiting to be spoken. "I choose both of you, forever." Hana shrieked with pure joy. She threw her arms around Maya and Daehyun simultaneously, pulling with surprising strength until they all collapsed onto the marble floor in a laughing, crying heap. "We're a family," she kissed Maya's cheek, then her father's, then Maya's again. "A real family, forever and ever." Daehyun's arms came around them both, creating a circle of warmth and safety. He pressed his forehead to Maya's, eyes closed, expression peaceful, for the first time since she'd known him. "Thank you," he whispered against her lips, "for being brave enough to come back, for choosing us, for giving me a second chance at getting this right." Maya kissed him, soft and sure and full of promise. "Thank you for being brave enough to fight for this, for not giving up, for showing me what real love looks like." They sat there on the floor, three people who'd all been broken differently, now whole together. Three people who'd found each other in the worst moment and decided to build something beautiful anyway. Rain began to fall outside, soft against the windows like a blessing. But inside, the house was warm with love and laughter and the sound of a little girl telling them about every single thing that happened while Maya was gone. And Maya finally understood what home felt like. Not a place, not a building, a choice, a commitment, a promise kept. 6 months later, the park estate gardens bloomed with late summer roses in every shade, cream and blush and deep burgundy. Maya stood in the transformed gazebo, adjusting white orchids in crystal vases that caught the light like captured starlight. She wore a simple cream dress, hair swept up. Minimal jewelry, except for the engagement ring Dae-hyun had given her 3 months ago. Small arms wrapped around her waist from behind. "Everything looks perfect, Mama." Hana, because that's what she called her now, had been calling her since that night on the floor, pressed her face against Maya's back. "Just like you." Maya turned, cupping her daughter's face. "You think so?" "I know so." Hana grinned, revealing a missing front tooth that made her lisp slightly. "Papa said the same thing this morning, twice, and then he got all mushy and tried to kiss you, but you laughed and pushed him away." "I was trying to get ready." "He didn't care," Hana giggled. "He said you're beautiful even when you're annoyed with him." Speaking of which, Dae-hyun appeared in the gazebo entrance wearing a dark suit that made him look like everything dangerous and everything safe all at once. He'd let his hair grow slightly longer, and it softened his features, made him look younger, happier. "There are my girls." He crossed to them, kissed Hana's head, then Maya's lips, gentle and possessive and full of promise. "Everything ready?" "Almost." Maya gestured to the transformed space, the garden where they'd decided to have a small ceremony instead of a grand affair. "Just waiting for the guests." 30 people. That's all they'd invited. Chloe, of course. Maya's parents, who'd flown in from Chicago. Dae-hyun's inner circle, the people who'd proven their loyalty over years. Hana's teacher, Mrs. Chen. People who mattered. People they trusted. Tonight was more than the annual part group gala. Tonight was their wedding reception. They'd gotten married quietly 2 weeks ago, just the 3 of them and a judge, because waiting felt impossible and big ceremonies felt wrong. This was their announcement, their celebration. "I have something for you." Dae-hyun pulled a small wrapped box from his jacket. "You already gave me a ring," Maya laughed. "This is different." He handed it to her. "Open it." Inside was a necklace, a delicate gold chain with a small pendant, 3 figures holding hands rendered in minimalist silhouette. A man, a woman, a child. "Hana designed it," Dae-hyun said softly. "I had it made from one of her drawings." Maya's eyes filled. She looked at Hana, who beamed up at her. "So you can always remember," the girl said solemnly, "that we're a family, even when you're at work, or Papa's traveling, or I'm at school. We're always together." Dae-hyun fastened it around Maya's neck. The pendant settled right over her heart. "Perfect," he whispered. Later, as guests arrived and music began, Maya stood with Dae-hyun's arm around her waist and Hana's hand in hers. She watched people mill through the garden, laughing, talking, celebrating, and thought about the journey that brought her here. 6 months ago, she'd been abandoned at an altar, humiliated, broken, convinced she'd never recover. Now she stood in a different garden with a different man, about to celebrate a different kind of forever, not the fairy tale she'd planned, not the safe, comfortable life she'd imagined. Something better, something real, something worth fighting for. Sometimes the worst day of your life is just the beginning of the best one. Sometimes you have to be abandoned to find where you truly belong. Sometimes you have to be broken to be rebuilt stronger. And sometimes, if you're incredibly, impossibly lucky, a powerful man and his daughter will save you at an altar. And you'll save them right back. This was more than romance. It was redemption. This was more than love. It was choosing each other every single day. even when it's hard, even when it's scary, even when the world says you shouldn't. This was family, not by blood, not by chance, by choice, by commitment, by showing up every single day and saying yes again. And it was just the beginning. If Maya and Daehyun's journey touched your heart tonight, we'd love to hear from you. What would you have done in Maya's place? Would you have been brave enough to return? Have you ever had to choose between safety and love? Leave a comment below and share your thoughts. And if you're ready for more inspirational stories where love heals, justice wins, and families are chosen, not just given, hit that subscribe button right now. We share new romance stories every week that remind us love is worth the risk, that broken doesn't mean beyond repair, and that the right people will choose you at your lowest moment. Thank you for spending this hour with us tonight. May you always find the courage to choose love, even when it terrifies you. May you remember that being broken doesn't mean being beyond repair. Sometimes it just means you're being prepared for something better. And may you always recognize the people brave enough to choose you at your lowest moment, because those are the people worth keeping forever. Sleep well, dream of second chances and chosen families. And remember, you're never too broken to be chosen. You're never too damaged to be loved. You're never too lost to find your way home. Until next time, friends, until next time.